Of course, one thing that I look at continuously, because it's a good measurement of the of the value of the dollar, excuse me, and that is the price of gold, because that's been a universal measurement of value for 6,000 years. And so when they make these announcements, the stock market shifts rapidly, and gold does the same thing. But sometimes, you have to stop and think, well, why is that happening? Because when they decided they would go back to inflating again and not cut the balance sheet any, all of a sudden the stocks responded by going up. And that means they're going to inflate the currency. But the gold went down. So temporarily those things happen. But ultimately, as long as they continue this policy of up and down and printing money and depending on it and not restoring a definition to the unit of account, believe me, the answer to this for people who worry about it, if you look at all of history, and that is, and see what gold is doing, because eventually they will have to resort to gold on restarting a sound currency. So there's a lot of mixed signals there. And actually, I think it's a lot of mixed signals because so much depended on what Powell said. He could change one word or one or two words and the market go up sharply, and a lot of money is involved here. But you could say, well, they have this all planned and they know exactly what they're doing. They don't. They have a plan to try to save their skin. That's it. But they're trying to get out of that rock and a hard place, and they're not going to without doing certain things. And I think they have to do two things that are major that has brought us to this point. One is you can't operate a major economy without a precise definition of the unit of account. And up until 1971, although imperfect, there was definition of the dollar, and all world currencies define their currencies against that dollar. They still do that to a degree because we still have the reserve currency of the world, but we really don't have a precise definition of the dollar. And the best way people can judge the value of the dollar right now, and the average purchasers of goods and services know, if you go to the store, prices are going up, and that's telling you that the unit of account is all messed up. The other thing that has to happen if we ever expect to go in the right direction is you have to have a measurement of borrowing and lending and spending, and that means you have to know what interest rates are. But the interest rates really don't exist. It's all artificial, and it's just popped into the inflation. But that's all temporary. But the big threat is, if they have a reality of where interest rates will be if you have shift, they have to be higher. And just think of the federal deficit, almost $30 trillion. You don't have, how many trillions of dollars will the budget go up by, just 1 point, 1 percentage point on interest rate. So they are indeed between the rock and the hard place. They cannot do it. They can't cut the printing and turn off the printing presses. And they certainly can't come back and say, well, a good economy, interest rates are very, very important. They give us the information of when we should invest and when we should save and when we should buy a house or when we should sell a house. All this information is gone. And when they pretend that they have, that they can substitute themselves, then they're kidding themselves. I remember one time, Greenspan, who's certainly at work, he says, well, we believe, and this is pretty close to what he was telling me, we believe that we have learned over the many years how to manage a fiat currency so it will act like gold. I would say, Chris, that I think he was telling us the truth. He was very confused. But this whole idea that you can substitute the whole process of millions and millions of people deciding, what the value of the currency is and transaction. But the definition is so important. But if the definition is changing, that's what, in a way, that's what Powell has been doing this last week or two, changing the definition. This is what we plan to do. We are deciding the people are right. There's too much inflation. And this is transitory, so we have to help it along so we can get this behind us. And Yellen kept always yelling about what she thought she said, don't worry, if prices start to rise and we have inflation, that type of inflation, we know how to handle it. But I would like to venture a a prediction that they don't know how to handle it, and they're trying to get away with something that they're dealing with. And I happen to believe that the problem they're dealing with, and the world's dealing with, and the people in this country are dealing with, is the biggest financial concern that's ever existed. That is, the financial bubble is huge. When you think that the dollar bubble is huge, and yet all currencies are locked to it, all prices essentially in the world are locked into it, that is a big deal. And this idea of tinkering, I think the fluctuations are going to get, we know about the gold standard and how it works, so we'll follow the rules of the gold standard. As long as they do that, people should get prepared financially, and they should get prepared for just protection of themselves, because politically we're going to have some problems too. That little organization that's been floating around here since 1913 that we would like to abolish, we need to talk about them, because they have over these many years gained a lot of power, and they thought that all they could get out of that would be wealth for the wealthy and take care of everybody, and throw a few crumbs to the people to pacify them. The only problem with that theory has been the fact that the people may rebel about getting the crumbs, and they get crummier all the time, and yet the markets keep going up and down and up and down. And there are some people who make money in both cycles. When the market goes up, fine. If it goes down, they make money too, and that causes a lot of resentment. I think that's what we're seeing. And there was a lot of excitement this week. Powell was on again, off again. Should I inflate? Shouldn't I inflate? And you and I and many other who have an understanding of Austrian economics have predicted that when they come to the point of turning off the spigot, it won't go easily. I think it was a year ago. So they tried it. The markets went down, lo and behold, and they had to stop doing it. Now, once again, they were going to shrink the amount of money they were going to take out of the system, because they were taking $120 billion in a month, and shrink it in order to say, well, we are dealing with inflation. This inflation is just transitory, and we can handle it. But lo and behold, I think the predictions of the Austrian economists were correct in saying that it's not that easy. You're going to run into trouble, and it won't last long. The attack on inflation, technically speaking, that's what has to be done. But the way they were going, it would never have worked. That you have to stop the inflation, which is printing the money and spending the money. So that's what they plan to do. But it came to a screeching halt. And once again, the market skyrocketed when they stopped cutting back, and also the market crashed when the Wall Streeters believed that they were actually serious about this, that it was necessary. But they're back to square one. And the way I think people should look at this is that the old saying that when you're in a difficult situation, you're between the rock and the hard place. And I would say the Fed ought to be feeling like the rock is there and the hard place is there, and it's squeezing them. But the problem is, guess what? The people are the one who are really going to get squeezed. And that's why we like to address this problem, Chris, because it also explains why we have this monstrosity government that takes care and pretends that they can take care of the welfare warfare state, and everybody will be happy, including the people. We will send them food stamps and they will be happy. And they never admit and predict the fact that if you do what you're going to do, the people are going to get angry, because the prices are going to go up and they won't have enough money to live on.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information, and it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
Do you want to know one thing about crypto? I made over 3,000% in profit in a few weeks. Fact is, the traditional financial system, the traditional money system makes you poor, not rich. If you want to earn $500,000, $1 million, you have to wait until you're 50, 60, 70 in the traditional financial system, and you probably will still be broke. And you will be old. This is not a sexy combination, as you can imagine. But the question is, how can you start in crypto and make these profits? Where to invest? Where to start? My name is Gunnar and I'm from Germany, as you can hear, and things are a little bit different in Germany. More about that later on. Fact is, there are lots of different cryptocurrencies. It's a gigantic universe where beginners and professionals get easily lost. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are 7 key steps you need to follow to become successful in this market. You have to know them, and if you fail one of them, it's literally impossible to succeed in this market. Just an example, one of the key points is your exchange, and one of the biggest are, for example, Binance and Coinbase. These are trusted and well-established exchanges, but, and this is a big but, you won't find the super profitable coins on those exchanges. The unknown super profitable coins that get gigantic profits are not traded on those kind of exchanges. They are traded on much smaller insider platforms that are barely known. And I can tell you what those super secret exchanges are and why they are so profitable. And another super important thing are the right information sources. The point is, the internet is gigantic. There are hundreds and hundreds of YouTube channels, blogs, pages, and much more. And there are also market makers and influencers. For example, Elon Musk, he is not a crypto guy, but the moment he recommended Dogecoin, it went through the roof, to the moon, so to say. But why did he recommend it? Where did he hear it from? He didn't hear it from newspapers. And believe me, he is listening to someone. But you have to know who, and you have to react before he is reacting. This is really important. And these are only 2 of the 7 steps you have to follow in order to be successful in crypto. And if you want to know all of these steps in much more detail, and if you want to have a comprehensive checklist, here's what you should do. There is a link below this video. Click on this link and you will get the opportunity to subscribe to my channel. Click on the link and you will see a video where I explain the next steps. So see you soon. Click on the link now. I'll see you there.